Welcome everyone. Of course, this is the Big Bad Show, and of course, it is two halves, the show where we get to discuss our side of the beautiful game, of course, as finalists and give our insights. And of course, the co-host for the Jamaican Premier League is none other than CEO and founder of Pembroke Elite Soccer, the man, the one and only, Damani Kildare. What going, big boss?
Yeah, greetings again. Thanks for having me again.
Of course, that. Damani, action in the Jamaican Premier League. That's where we started. Big things happening. The first game. Let's look at the results, though, Damani. Let me share this quickly with you, so we can see the results of match day number 2. So there you have it. Match day number 2. Of course, kicking off things was Lion, going 2-2 with Tivoli Gardens. A very good game there. Mount Pleasant also coming from behind or coming with 10 men, 1-0 winners over Harbourview United. Cavaliers, the defending champions, got off the way on Monday against Waterhouse, 3 times beaten finalists, and they went down 3-0. Dumbo Woolen continued their impressive start to the Premier League. And of course, the dwellers down there, the newcomers, that man already predicted Montego Bay United going down 3-0 to Dumbo Woolen. Portmore United versus Arnett Gardens. Some of the Portmore former players, of course, Willis and Shande James getting somewhat of a revenge over Portmore United. 2-1 winners, Arnett Gardens. And closing out the action would, of course, be Mullines United versus Jamalco. A very dull one there. But Jamalco coming out 1-win winners over. And, of course, Jamalco was formerly known as Veer, which is coached by Donovan Dookie. So, Damani, those are the results there. The first one that comes to mind, of course, will be Manchester. Why Manchester in my head? Lion versus Tivoli Gardens. 2-2. Enterprise-led team getting a valuable points there. Could have actually won that one. What's your take on that, Damani?
Yeah, just to allude to what you had said last week about the first round. They are missing some key pieces in terms of senior players, and you saw how impactful that was with the Andre Clennon and so forth in the team. It was an overall good performance, but once again, one of the reasons why we predicted that Lion will go back down if there was some relegation this season was the defense, the defensive lapsing and all that. They always falter in the latter part of the game, and I saw that coming through. And especially when I told you that Tivoli's attacking prowess was good, you could see that evidently in the game. One of the new recruited transfers, Warner Brown, who basically came right down from the Parish League, was at Unipa, was a standout in the schoolboy football for stats. Came up strong. He scored last week and I scored this week again, 2 goals. So
2 goals. So he's already out in the front with 3.
Yeah, so I think the scoreline reflect the game. Both teams give a good account of themselves.
Yeah, I think Andrew would just be a little bit annoyed that, especially in the second half, they would have created a lot of chances. I think the statistics would have shown at least 6 offsides in the second half. So they were creating chances. I really saw, of course, as I said, the inclusion of some of the more senior players in the Lion squad, and they really put Tivoli under the sword. I think it's one of the better games I've seen Lion since Andrew Price have taken over. But again, defensive fragility around there, man. They just can't defend. They are scoring goals, which is good, but you can't concede 7 goals in 2 games. It just look bad. It's really looking bad. But again, another valuable point for Lion. Tivoli again starting slowly. That's 2 drawn games now since the start of the Premier League. So, I've come to expect this from coach team from stats. It's normally a defensive team and normally starts in slow. So, good point there. I think it's fair result. Another matchup game for Sunday was Mount Pleasant against Harbourview. And I was one who was touting up the link up with Trevor Reed and Okesa Chung. But it never materialized any at all. It never materialized. I think Trevor Reed, I think he wanted to overplay. I think he wanted to overplay and probably prove that he is still of quality. Trevor, we know he has quality. But there wasn't any synergy. And of course, Chung would have missing some training days after he went over to Peru with the national team. So coming back, he looked as if he was a fish out of water, basically. But Mount Pleasant, 1-0 win coming from 10 man. What say you? Do they look at
As I said last week, it wasn't so bad and humble as part of the last so badly against Mount Pleasant, but it was the brilliance of Mount Pleasant. And once again, I talk about the weaponry in their attack. Normally, in past seasons, you have Francois Faby coming off the bench and Daniel Green. Now they had a recent recruit who was transferred just this season. Came off the bench and he scored basically. And they are 10 men. So that goes to show the weaponry that they overall change in the attack is coming fruitful for them.
I felt as though
it was about an Aberby squad. So Mount Pleasant really just had the quality up front, regardless of being short. So it was just a good game by them. And so it was a even game, but it come up trumps with their attacking.
And from the attacking side, I felt as though the Mount Pleasant was very, very tactically astute as to what is happening on the field. The awareness, you can see every man literally putting in a shift. Morris, I don't want to give him too much of a praise so soon in the league, but you can see the leadership right then and there in that Mount Pleasant team. He was all over in the mid-pitch, ensuring that things was organized. I mean, people were tracking everybody because the Aberview team actually moved the ball pretty well in that game. I just think Mount Pleasant canceled them out in terms of how they were set up tactically. There were some tactical changes done by Wally Downs in terms of the person on the field stayed, but the formation and setup was changed. And I just felt as though Mount Pleasant just waited until the right time and they just got the just result that they would have needed. Yeah. So the Manchester City of the Jamaican Premier League, Mount Pleasant there, right there with that 1-0 win. And moving into Monday's game. Who's first up on Monday, Damani?
It was, I think, Cavaliers and Waterhouse.
Cavaliers versus Waterhouse. I just wanted to make sure that you're there. So it was the defending champions going up against the last season's run-up and 3 times consecutive beaten finalists, Waterhouse. And wow. Damani, that was a scoreline. It wasn't such a scoreline in terms of if you watch the game, it wasn't such a bad scoreline. But if you haven't seen the game and you see a 3-0 result, then you can say, oh, Waterhouse whitewash Cavaliers. But Cavaliers was really in the game until that was a really youthful exuberance and lack of experience there on the Cavalier player when he got that foolish red card on the sideline there for basically hitting out on a player. So he struck the player, got a stupid red card, put the team down, and Waterhouse again with their enterprise in play, they took the game to Cavaliers. What say you, Damani?
But just indicate that they actually got 2 red cards.
Yes.
But as I alluded as well, I don't think the scoreline reflect the game. Cavalier came out very early with some easy challenges that they missed, and they just paid the price. I think to identify in this Cavaliers team is that you saw how youthful exuberance pan out in this team. I don't think necessarily they can handle the success. And that's one of the things that even though they won with a youthful team, this is one of the things they will get in discipline with youth. Yeah. You get a lot of indiscipline with this, and that's what panned out in this game. I think this was a drawn game, but Waterhouse had advantage with the 11 men.
Yeah,
against them. And you hear them bragging about beating Cavaliers, but really and truly, they needed to beat Cavaliers when it mattered most. So I think coming again in this fixture will be a revenge match, but I don't think the scoreline really reflect the game. Waterhouse really and truly, attacking wise, is very good, but I think with the missing piece of Nikolai Finiston as an experienced defender, I think somehow along the line they will fall short in terms of the top 2.
As I say, I totally agree with you. I think what Rudolph Speed is doing up at Cavaliers, we must commend him because, of course, I'm an advocate of getting young players into the league. But you have to be careful, there must be a balance. And as you can see, the youthful exuberance there coming through. And let's not kid it, I mean, we congratulate Cavaliers on being last season champion. But it was just one round, And we've been watching the league. And we've seen Cavaliers normally one of the teams that are dominant in terms of how they play tactically and how they set up. But when it comes down to the business end, Cavaliers tend to normally, feather away. And so last season they were champion, and justly because it was one round. So we have to give them that. But it's also a new season, which is 2 rounds. And so you have to ensure that the youths are mentally ready for the longevity, because it won't be a mini tournament per se as we had last season. But
And just to note as well, we see Fletcher taking over from Shaquille Bradford, scoring 3 goals so far in the season after 2 games.
well, you should know, because Bradford is under your umbrella right now up at Premier
Yes,
League.
yes.
So you should know what's happening there. But Waterhouse coming 3-0 winners over last season champions, Cavaliers. And of course, the big money spenders, one of the big boys as well in the league where finance is concerned, is Dumbarton. And they played against your prediction team that is supposed to be going back down, Montego Bay United. Very easy, that money. Very easy for Dumbarton. They didn't even break stride.
Yeah, number one, as I mentioned, would be my prediction to make the top 6 based on the type of football they play, firstly, and the type of coaches they have. Harold Thomas is a well experienced and well known coach. The moment as I told you, is a given that these teams will have some few shockers in their coffers when they come throughout the season, because it's a newly promoted team, so they will shock some teams. But it was evident that they were lacking experience in how they manage the game and how they were tactically set up, and the experience of some of the players. So I think 3-0 was true scoreline. They were definitely better. They were definitely better than them on the day.
Yeah, it was just too easy for me, though. It was just too easy, that money. And I mean, Dumbarton literally stopped playing with at least 20 minutes on the clock. When you see Dumbarton introducing Jamil Hardware and the other attacking player, and they literally just came around and walk on the pitch. There was no real impetus on them to come and perform because the game was already won. Now, was that good for players coming off the bench? I don't know. Was it instructions given, because I would still want these players who are experienced players and quality players, but I'm bringing them off the bench. I would still want them to do their job as best as possible, because the reality is that the games are going to get tougher. The season just started, so you want them to. But again, it was extremely easy for Dumbarton. There was no real challenge for them. And I just feel as though Montego Bay with Mr. All there, he's in for a long run. He's really in for a long run. It was just struggling. Frankly, it's easily the team that you're looking at now to say, oh, this team is easily going to be the struggling team. Will they turn it around after 2 games? We will see that. But the other games on for Tuesday was, of course, somewhat of a mini rivalry between Portmore and Arnett, because when these teams tend to go at it, they are normally the teams fighting for semi-final spots and finals. And of course, 2 players, one of course would have been standout Chevon Willis, who was a key figure in the Portmore team, winning that Premier League as well. So he ventured up to Arnett Gardens. And of course, Clarendon College standout Shanley James, also a former Boystone youth player, also was a part of the Portmore United setup. So they got somewhat of a revenge. It was a 2-1 win over a very youthful Portmore. And again, we cannot stress how new look this Arnett team is. We can't stress that enough. So, and then, of course, you're a veteran defender. Boy, Arbonne, what's his name? Come on, Arbonne. Man, embarrass the veteran. If you take time with the veteran, but what's your say on the game?
Yeah, you talk about a new look Arnett. It's also a new look Portmore, because they have revamped the team to youth players, as you mentioned, to a lot of the parties. Morris to Mount Pleasant and Willis to the same Arnett. I think it's a team in transition. Very youthful bunch, as I mentioned. You see the same thing panning out with Rudolph Austin at Portmore, like Lovell Palm at Harborview last year. A deep line midfielder now playing straight a centre out, because he's of age now and it's slow, but he's experienced. But in that, you will get a bit of what Kieran Arbonne did to him, that nutmeg and that goal.
That man, let me just cut it there. That was a beautiful goal, though. It was well executed. And I mean, Kimani was always busy. So when he did that and curled it, he was under some scrutiny from the commentator as well. So it was justifiable at the time.
Yeah, and I think as well as we mentioned Cephas last week about his pace, it was evident there. But I think the one goal margin showed that it was actually a close game, and any team could have won on the day because Portmore ended up scoring first and they ended up
Yeah.
last. So I think 2-1 was a favorable result for both teams.
And of course, Portmore would have lost a player that I would have watched in the Manning Cup. In my personal book, I highly rated that player from Manning Cup, Shea Smith. He would have gotten that injury, and so it kind of set back the Portmore United attack somewhat because he would have opened the goal scoring. He scored last week, started the second game, score again, and then got an injury. So it kind of set back the Portmore team, and I'm yet to see the real replacement because as you would have known, Shea Smith would have been a part of that Premier League squad for ever since, and he was always overlooked. So now he's definitely
no breakthrough. Yeah.
And then he would have suffered that injury. So I know mentally we can feel it for the player, and I know for Portmore they are now scratching their heads because I don't see a replacement for Shea Smith. And again, for me personally, he's a boy of very good quality. So he will be missed, and hopefully he will be returned soon as possible. The only dull game, what I would consider a dull game in my book, would have been Moulins versus Jamalco. So very, very dull game there. I think Moulins just wasn't up for it, and definitely Jamalco doesn't seem like they were up for it. They scored a goal, but all in all, it was just a favorable result for the winner at the end of the day. What's your say?
I think both teams are alike, in terms of setup. Just that I think coaching kind of probably came out in this one. We started the typical Donovan Duki, very, very defensive, playing off the counter. Francois Swaby being a menace for the Moulins team. But the one goal difference was the the X factor, and I think both teams played nothing really. They didn't give a good account of themselves. We were playing very shady, like both teams wanted a draw. Both teams were playing not to lose. So it was a dull game, and I think that one goal being from a penalty shows exactly what that game was all about. It was a scrappy and
it was
so
very
defensive.
scrappy. It was very scrappy.
No appeal with it.
No appeal. Yeah. That can be the game that we want to use as an advertisement for the Jamaican Premier League.
Yeah.
And I mean, Donovan Duki, as you rightfully say, we know Duki's style of coaching. He was very defensive and also very boisterous on towards the officials. Of course, when Duki don't get caught, you will hear him. So that would be the action for match day 2 in the Jamaican Premier League. And of course, we've seen Mount Pleasant on 6 points. Waterhouse on 6 points, and also Dumbo Holding on 6 points. And of course, down in the back end, we're seeing what's her name? Montego Bay on 0 points, Lion on 1 point, and Tivoli on 2 points. So, of course, Portmore as well is on 1 point. So that's how.
And Cavaliers in the mix with 3.
And Cavaliers is on 3. So that's how it's early days yet, people, very early days. And of course, match week 3 will be the top of the table clash already, which is Waterhouse versus Dumbo Olen. Cavaliers will play host to Portmore. Jamalco will play Mount Pleasant. Montego Bay will play Moulins. Tivoli will play Harbourview, and Arnett will close out against Umble. Another crunching match there. And of course, people, games are being played Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, courtesy of Sportsmax. You can see the game because, again, there's no fans allowed at the Center of Excellence, the Captain Horace Burrell Center of Excellence. That's the only place there where you can see the games. Damani from the AGM.
That's an indication. The games will resume back to Saturday, Sunday, Monday because because of the schoolboy football.
Yeah.
And there was confirmation made that Jackson will be getting approval soon for
that is where I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that is where I want to finish up on this Jamaican Premier League, because what we would have seen from the first AGM meeting is that coming out is that the president is saying that they are in consultation with the JFF and FIFA to see if there's a possibility of how they can introduce VAR to the Jamaican Premier League in the playoff rounds. And I'm saying, while we do have the games on live TV, I am not sure we have the technology yet to bring forth that, in for the VAR, because while he's saying that Sportmax offer up to 4 to 8 cameras, and so therefore the different angles, but I think there's a lot more cameras involved when VAR comes into play. And also on the notion of the venues, if you're going to say you are moving from just the center of excellence and moving to stadiums like Jacksal, Sabina Park, the National Stadium, Stadium East, or all the other secure venues, are you going to have those games having VAR? So I think while it is bold, it's just not ready yet, because you'll then have to set up. I take back that, because if he's thinking about the playoff run, then obviously the playoff run will be played at scheduled games. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure. But what's your take? Do you think we're ready to be in a VAR world?
Yes, I concur with you. I don't think they're ready financially and technology-wise, especially with the infrastructure that we have. I think there's a bold move, and we've seen them making a lot of bold moves, and I commend them on that. But I think they jumped the gun on this one. I think they need to set the priorities straight. I think the league needs better other avenues of appreciation, separate and aside from VAR. We see a lot of things that the league needs, and I think they need to get the priority right. Bold move, but I think the priority is wrong.
Yeah, I honestly feel as though we need to focus more on the development, and we need to start focus on more on selling the product, because you have myself and you here that are the part of two halves, and we're here and we are selling the product as best as we can, but we need to ensure that we invest where it is needed. And don't get me wrong, people, we understand that the footballing world is moving towards VAR. That's where everybody is, so therefore we must be a part of that. But I'm just saying, right now there's a lot more things that need to be fixed with our football first before we even contemplate going into VAR. If somebody else is sponsoring VAR for us, fine. But I just think the sponsorship money is a lot more need, to, especially where development of the grounds and the facilities, development of players, coaches, staff. I'm yet to see, even now I'm still seeing the medics with bags of water literally going on the field. And the most sophisticated thing I'm seeing some of the medics with so far is a can of magic spray, which literally does nothing. You understand me? So good moves again, and I love all that they're doing so far, but I just think that there's way more things that we need to invest in first before we go to VAR. So that's what I'm standing for. Damani, we are coming to the end of the segment. Coming to the end of the segment, my brother. What are some of this? What would have been your prediction for some of the games coming up? So again, let me go back through them again for you. For match day 3, we do have kicking off again. Match day 3, we have Waters versus Dumblion. Predictions quickly.
Waters against Dumblion.
Yes.
I think this will be a drawn game. Game. Probably one all or so forth.
Yeah, what I will do tell you that I think is going to be an attacking game. I think both teams have attacking press, so you will see more attacking than defending. So I'll agree with you on a drawn game. But it's going to be a good one. Cavaliers Portmore.
I think Cavalier rebound this time, but it would be a 1-goal margin, probably 2-1 Cavalier or 1-0 Cavalier.
Yeah, it's a very sticky one there, and I'm not sure how that one will go, because I know Rudolph Speed, and he's definitely one that wants to bounce back. But also, of course, Lenny Hyde will definitely want a win, to start his campaign as well for the new season. So, very iffy one. I'm going for a draw there. And I think, honestly, it's going to be a 0-0 draw or 1-0 draw. Jamal Cup versus Mount Pleasant. Ultra defensive versus ultra attack.
I think Mount Pleasant will come up strong, but probably by a 1-goal margin. Probably 1-0 or so forth. 2-1. Yeah. I still think, even as defensive as Jamal Cup are, I think that addition of Francois will give them some goals along the line.
Okay, good.
But I think probably Mount Pleasant 2-1.
Oh, I think Mount Pleasant will blow them out. I don't think Jamaica will even muster up a chance to score. I think Mount Pleasant will score at least 3 goals So 3-0 for me there, Mount Pleasant. Montego Bay versus Moulins, the Monday game. What's your say?
That's the key one. But I think Mobile might win this game. I just have a feeling they might win this game.
Yeah,
But
against
Moulins
Moulins. I
definitely
don't want
won't.
me about them this enough. But
I think Mobile will come up trumps this game.
Yeah, I based on what I've seen from Moulins, I've seen that they can attack, and I'm seeing that I just feel as though the whole of the overall collective unit or effort that is needed to push the team forward. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing another drawing game here. I'm not because I think Mobile will definitely don't want to lose 3 on the spin, so they definitely will at least look at consolidating and compacting in there. So drawing game then for me. Tivoli Gardens versus Harborview.
That's a drawing game.
Trevor Reed playing against his former team. You think so? It's a son-at game, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a drawing game.
Yeah, I honestly feel like though Tivoli Harborview will pick this one. I'm rooting for Harborview to pick this one, but
yeah, I think that drawing game with goals though. Definitely have goals.
Goals will score. So I'm giving Tivoli the edge. Harborview the edge over Tivoli for this one. 2-1. And of course, rounding off the game for match week 3 is Arnett Gardens versus Lion. And that is a humdinger in itself. The Junglists versus the Lions always produce some crunching things there. And of course, a lot of crossbred happening. So what's your results there?
I think Arnett will win, even though they're missing some pieces, but it won't be an easy win. I think Arnett will win the game. Probably about a 2-1 or 3-1, but it won't be an easy win.
I think it's going to be a crunching game. I tell you that straight up. And for Lion to even muster up anything, they must take their chances and put them away. So, honestly, I will give it a drawn game as well. But it will be a 1-1 drawn game. I think goals will be scored in that game. So, 1-1 there. Well, Damani, my brother, we give thanks again. We've come to the end of one more show. And of course, next week we're going back again to review the Jamaican Premier League. And people, if you want news and updates from the Jamaican Premier League, it's the one place you can find, which is 2 Halves. So ensure that you like, share, and subscribe. And of course, my brother over there is the CEO and founder of Pembroke Elite Soccer, Damani Kildare. So them man that have the youth, of the nation's youth's future in his hands. So Damani, respect again. People, this is the #1 show, 2 Halves. We're out of here. Next time.